All right, so let's get started. Mr. Rick Nelson.
Well, thank you, JJ. It's good to be here, and thank you all for coming on this beautiful Colorado spring day. I'm sure you had a lot of other options out there in nature today, so thank you for taking the time to grow your soul indoors today. And that's what it's all about. I have come to understand that science and spirituality are not separate as they would like to convince us it is. It is one and the same thing. Science is just an extremely slow process, and it's constrained by the third dimensional beliefs in our environment. And we try to view and understand everything only from this place, which is not possible. I'll be covering the bigger picture today. Bear with me, it's going to be an exciting adventure. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I've not really used PowerPoint before, put it together, so we'll see. And I've not really used a script ever. I speak impromptu. So I guess we may as well get underway and find out what I have to say. Well, interdimensional humanoid embodiments on Earth, even angels. That's a big title. It's a big topic. It's a big universe. And it's a really big program for the people of Earth. That's what's going to be covered here. First, I guess, a little about me, why you should even consider anything I had to say. I grew up in the country in nature in southwest Ohio, out in the woods for the most part. Most every day I could get out there I did, and I studied bugs and birds and animals and plants and trees, and I wanted to understand how everything worked in their own worlds. What they were about, why they were there, where they came from, what they ate, drank, slept, how they slept, and what their contribution was to everything in connection with other things. It was quite a learning process as a kid. I loved that. Again, this insatiable appetite for wanting to understand. I never spoke when I was young, very quiet. I was known as the quiet kid. And I was just observing. I couldn't figure out why people seemed to do the crazy things they did and why they didn't cover more important things on a deeper level. And as I grew older, I discovered, wow, I was right. They do get wrapped up in superficial matters and ignore even the greatest of things we're here for and here about. I'm going to have to glance at this to remind me what I was going to talk about. I grew up in the country outside of a little steel town. What a terrible way to grow. Well, country is great. Steel town, no. I graduated early at 17, high school, and I joined the service immediately to find a way out of that area. I had to get out of that area. And because I didn't want to end up retiring at the steel mill and having the life that everybody had there, which was, in my opinion, pretty boring. I joined the Navy and did well enough on all my tests that I was given anything I wanted to go into, and I picked naval air intelligence because at that point I was very impressed with James Bond in the movies. And I thought, what a cool life to be a spy, to know all these things and given all this responsibility. And I'll have to admit, during my few years in the service, that there's only one time that I actually considered I was doing Bond things. In the Philippines once, I was given a driver and a Jeep, an open-air Jeep, no top, and they handcuffed a briefcase to my left hand, gave me a .45, armed the driver, and we had to drive through the back roads through the jungles of the Philippines for almost a full day to go up to Manila and deliver some top secret material to a base. But what an odd feeling as a 17-year-old wow, here I am, my orders are to protect this with my life. I have no idea what's going to happen. Driving through country that wow, it's beautiful. Watching these bamboo homes on stilts, having to stop in the road because of water buffalo trail, because a water buffalo won't move. It was just, what a lovely adventure. But my whole life's been an adventure in different ways. Okay, and what they did teach me in the service, I'll have to say, they taught me some structural analysis skills, which was quite helpful. I really enjoyed that because I had my own way of seeing and understanding things. They were constantly sending me material from other agencies, wondering what my opinion was. I would look at aerial photos, YouTube photographs of China, Russia, and other places, and they'd ask for my opinion. Not the others who did what I did, but just give it to me, and I didn't know why. And I would give my report on it, give a reading on it. And they would constantly ask me, well, how did you come up with this? All I could say was, I don't know, I'm an analytical, and I called it a free thinker. And what I was doing is I was using my intuition, but I didn't want to use that word. And so I said a free thinker, and I would take these aerial photos and turn it around until something would jump up at me and said, this is not normal. What am I looking at? And it would take it from there. I was, and always have been, a good observer, always learning and asking good questions. Something I've learned is, if you're not getting the answer you want, ask a better question. You will always get the answer to what you're asking. Just keep asking that better question. People use generic terms. Be more specific. You ask somebody, well, what do you want out of life? I want to be happy. Who doesn't? Define it. Be specific. Because then you start learning, growing, and you have a path to follow. And I've journaled since the 1970s, and it's really helped as a clearing process. What you think you know, you're not really clear on until you put it all together in one spot in a flowing form where somebody else can look at it and realize you didn't leave anything out, nothing is duplicated, and nothing conflicts. Oh, that's good. So I found that to be a pretty powerful personal tool. Okay. And in the 1980s, oh, thank you. In the 1980s, I was journaling, I was asking always good questions. And at that point it was, if I were to die tomorrow, what would have been my most meaningful and fulfilling experiences outside of family? Great question. And it was quite self-defining. And I wrote everything down I could, and there were 20-some things, and it took me 3 days until I couldn't think of anything more. And then I thought, okay, what can this tell me? And I looked at it. Every one of those had 7 things in common. I was taking educated risks. I was going beyond my perceived limits. I was doing things firsthand, not listening to them, not following a book or a movie. I was experiencing them. I was addressing or overcoming my fears. And as I listed all these 7 things, I realized this tells me a lot about myself. And so I decided at that point to design the rest of my life pursuing things that fulfilled me. So I created what I called the Adventure Club. We did everything you could imagine. I had a list of 100 things I made. I was terrified of heights, so I took up ultralight gliders, paragliding. Yeah, and some scared the heck out of me. Had a near-death experience with kayaking, and a few near-death experiences. But I started renting haunted hotels and filling it only with my people. They were claimed to be haunted, and I found out very quickly that, oh my God, these stories are real. They're happening to my people here. We'd meet the following morning and we'd share what we experienced during the night. Oh my God, the stories were unbelievable. The interactions. And these are people who really weren't sure about this the night before. And I just love this, because since then, I've been working with been doing a lot of investigations. I've worked with a lot of devices, like the old Sony Hi8 camera, which is, they don't make them anymore. They don't even make the film for it anymore. And what used to be $2 per cassette tape is now about $20 a cassette tape, and they're hard to find. But if you look through the viewfinder, you can see on that camera beings in other worlds. I don't know if that's the reason it is continued or not, but they aren't crystal clear like us, but you can see their life form as they move across. And with this recorder that I always keep with me, even when I sleep, I can typically talk with whatever's there. You ask a question you may have seen on the TV shows, you wait for an answer, 30 seconds or so, and you can't hear it, but if you play it back, the response is there. Oh my God, you try that a few dozen times and you have to accept that this stuff is real. But again, what we refer to, label as ghosts, are just one of many, many, many realities. I've been interacting, working with what you would refer to as extraterrestrial beings from different races. At first it was just the seen craft. I'd heard a rumor about, from a young couple of guys who, hope that wasn't expensive, that in Utah, they were traveling for half a year after college looking for just things to do. And I asked them, oh, when you were exploring for half a year, what did you find that was fun or interesting? They looked at each other and laughed and told me this story about UFOs. And they would think, oh, thank you. It was expensive. Okay. Hope it works. And it was so convincing and compelling that it stuck with me. It took me, I was at a 4th of July picnic, I just met them. And it took me 2 years to find them again. And when I did, I found out where that was. So I put together a group of, a dozen or 2 dozen people to go camping with me to this place in Utah. And sure enough, that first time there, oh my God. After we were through having the meal, we all went out in the field and he said, bring some chairs, the folding chairs. We sat out there and he said, well, just look up in the sky, keep your eye on the mesa over there. And some plane lights came over. He said, well, keep your eye on it. He got up over the top of us about twilight, stopped, then did all sorts of things and took off. He said, happens every night. They do different things. They're here. Again, wow. So that was the first year. This will be my 29th annual UFO camp trip. We go down now to the San Luis Valley near the sand dunes. And I usually have a speaker. I'm looking for a Native American. I'm hoping, I've got to ask Chief Golden Light Eagle, who heads up all these Star Knowledge conferences around the country with the different tribes speaking of their origins from the skies, from the star people, they call them. And I hope to have him there presenting. Most every year we have some pretty dramatic events. Not everybody gets to see everything. Most people are so busy visiting with each other, they don't bother to look up, even when somebody yells, oh my God, a UFO. And, but that's okay, because they're gathering important information. They were so involved in the conversation. About 4 years ago, I had the Arvada Press, a local newspaper here in the metro area. He called me, editor called and said, do you mind if we come down, and I just heard about this trip. I thought, oh God, the media, I don't trust them. So I told him, all right, if you agree not to make fun of any topic, any person, or don't use anybody's name or photo without their permission, you're welcome to come along. So he brought his photographer, and he left on Sunday. We usually do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I called him Monday morning first thing to remind him about our agreement. He said, oh no, I've already written it. And he said, I sent it to my publisher. And I got it all done Sunday night. I was so excited. Sent it to him and he approved it. He said, you've got the cover of the newspaper in 7 pages. And I thought, nice. And because I've had my state senator on these trips. Usually have anywhere from 60 to 150 people. I don't charge for it. It's not what it's about. It's about discovering. It's about people who've had experiences and they come to want to understand more about what's going on. And when you take that many people who have been experiencing and encountering and interacting with these beings and take them to a place that is ripe with activity and request contact, things happen. every year we have these balls of light. They vary in what kind they are, but they will come up. Sometimes they will just float in and around us. And other times they will just appear right there and then shoot off into the forest, several of them. Other times when I mentioned, if anybody notices these balls of light, please let us know, because every single year I have somebody or a group of people tell me, oh, didn't you see the UFOs? No, nobody mentioned it. Oh, well, we were busy watching it. If I tell everyone, please, please, that's what we're here for. If anyone sees anything, even if you're not sure, point, look right there so everybody knows it's important. It's probably a UFO. Take a look, and that's where it's at. That's where to look. And it's been fun. Anyhow, the editor, when I called him, he said, I've got to tell you, on a 3.5-hour drive down there from Denver, I came down with my photographer, and he said he didn't believe in what he called this crap. And so I said, okay. He said, but on the way back, I thought I was going to have to stop at every church. He was so upset about what he witnessed while he was down there. That year we had almost a 20-minute display of about 24 craft that night that just went on and on and on. And it was a beautiful experience. I mean, wow. But it's a wonderful reality. Once you start tapping into these things, you're open, you're interested, and you make requests, and you're not afraid. The things that start to happen. And I've gotten way the heck off my script, and I have to apologize. Okay, covered some of that. I've even put on 3 Bigfoot expeditions, if you can imagine. I've had the History Channel after me for a long time to cover that, but I don't want to cover that with them. I have run into the most interesting people you could run across and have them come to speak at the forum, and they've taught me much. I spend a lot of time with these individuals. There have probably been about 120 some different presenters, and they range from Native American elders, a lot of scientists, a lot of PhDs. Yeah, I'm going to jump around here a little bit. Whoa, that keeps moving too. Ta-da! I got a call from the rabbi of the Air Force Academy several years ago, and he said, I'm more of a theologian than a rabbi, but because I'm Jewish, they may be the rabbi down here. Would you mind if I met with you? Because I've just discovered that UFOs and extraterrestrials are real, and I really need to know where they fit into my theological teachings, because they don't teach me about this. We spent a lot of hours together. Great guy. He's now in Italy and stays in touch. He said, Rick, when I get out of the service, I'm going to spend my life following you around. He said, I'm serious. He said, what you've shared with me and what I've experienced with you, this stuff is real, and I just want to understand what you are looking to understand too. There are other worlds, I guess is what I'm saying. And we have so much to learn about who we are, why we're here, where we come from, and what's taking place, especially at this time here on Earth.